Hello there, Year 10. I need to start with an apology and also by expressing my thanks to Sean, who is always on duty and spotted the mistake, which I wish I could say was a deliberate mistake, but it wasn't, that I made in Friday's video. So that was the video where you saw me live, and I apologise to my 4 friends who were in class that day as well, because I completely missed something with question 3 on that sheet. So Sean has pointed out that in part A, before doing any cancelling, I should have realised that I can factorise this and this. They're both single bracket factorisation, so I'm going to ignore the whole fraction thing and just look at the top. These 2 terms here can both be divided by 4, and they both have an s in them. So I can write the top as that. The numerator becomes that. So I've factorise the numerator. If I multiply that out, 4s times t is 4st, 4s times 2s is 8s squared. Let's do the same with the denominator. So both of these terms have an 8 and a t, and so to make that I need another t. 8t times t gives me 8t squared. And to turn 8t into 16st, I need a 2 and an s. And look what happens. And also, so I end up with s over 2t. And I was a doofus, should have spotted that. Now, these two are similar, so I'm going to pause in a minute and get you to have a go at those. This one's a little bit different. I can't help noticing that I've got an A and a B in both of these terms here, and an A and a B in both of those terms there. So yeah, anyway, have a go at those 3, and pause the video at this point, and I'll come back with the answers in just a sec. Now actually, these 2 end up with the same as we got doing it the other way, although this one was multiplied out, 3x plus 3 over 5x minus 5, so that one isn't really a huge amount simpler, and this one is just the same. All I did was wrote it as AB times those 2 things, although actually when we did it the other day, we did just divide everything by A and divide everything by B, so I think those 2, sorry, lesson change over time, so I apologise for the noise. I think those 2, it's not hugely significant, but certainly these 2, it makes a big difference. So here, I noticed that both of these had a 6 and both had an x, so I pulled that outside the bracket, and then to make 6xy I needed a y, and to make minus 6x I just needed minus 1. And the bottom I've got 3 outside the bracket and y minus 1 in the bracket, and they can cancel out. And then I've noticed I could divide by 3 as well. Now, why did I bother putting a 1 there? Often when I just divide, I don't bother putting anything. Well, there's nothing else left there, so I have to put a 1 there. So you get 2x over 1, which is just 2x. So there we go. I am grateful that Sean pointed that out, and I apologise if any of you were confused by that. Right, so let's move on. I'm trying to make this pretty bite-sized, don't make it too long, because I know it's hard when you're at home, particularly as the weather is so lovely. But today we're talking about multiplying and dividing algebraic fractions. I'm only going to put multiplying. I have to move my camera because I can't write. There we go. Multiplying algebraic fractions. And because of the mistake I made earlier, I'm going to encourage you to adopt a process which I hope will help us. So the process is 3 steps. Factorize, multiply, and then cancel. Factorize, multiply, and then cancel. Sometimes we can do factorizing, sometimes we can't, but we check that we can do it first. Some of you will actually do these 2, multiply and cancel, the other way around, but that's the way I'm going to do them today. So here we go. Part A. There's no way I can factorize anything here, but I'm going to rewrite the top as So it's a fraction, all right? X plus 3 squared is x plus 3 times x plus 3, and no fraction, so I'm just going to write it as over 1. Second fraction doesn't change the same, but I'm just going to put some brackets there. So I've checked to see if I can factorise. I can't, although I've sort of rewritten that in a slightly different way. Right, now I'm going to multiply. When we multiply fractions, we just multiply the numerator, so that times that times that. I just write it like this. Note, I'm not going to grid this out. I'm not going to multiply it out. None of that at all today. And the bottom, 1 times that, just gives me that. So I've done my multiply. And then lastly, cancel. Have I got anything in common, top and bottom? I have. Look, I can divide top and bottom by that. Nothing here, so I'm just going to write that as 1. So I'm left with x plus 3, x minus 4 over 1, which is just. What about if I am being asked to divide? Well, here's a division one. Pull the focus a bit. There we go. So firstly, can I factorise? And I note that both of these can be divided by 8, so I'm going to write it as... I tell you what, I'm going to do 2 steps in one go, because we know how to divide fractions, don't we? We write down the first fraction, we change the divide to a multiply, and then we flip the second fraction. So I'm going to write that fraction down flipped, but I'm also at the same time going to factorise this, because I've noticed. Okay, so are you happy that this can be factorised to give me that? If I multiply that out, I get that. Now, I'm going to multiply it out. 5 times 8 is 40, so that gives me 40x plus 2. And it doesn't matter which way round I write it, but I'm going to do it like that. Sorry about the noise outside. Right, now let's come to the cancelling, and the good news is algebra cancels out all together, and these are both in the 5 times table. So that's what I'm left with. Now, some of you will have noticed that I can cross-cancel at this point, so there's nothing wrong with, at that point, cross-cancelling there, replacing that with a 1. And you could have done that up here as well. X plus 3, x plus 3. If you want to cancel before you multiply, absolutely fine. Right, while I go and shut the door because of that noise, can you have a go at B, C, E, and F? I'll tell you now, C, you can factorise there, and E, you can factorise there. Pause and have a go. Okay, so with B, some of you will have been able to cancel before you multiplied, but I multiplied it out. You notice that when they're as separate fractions, no brackets, I just think it's better to put the brackets in when you multiply it all together. So I did that times that, and that times that, and then cancel that. Notice I didn't multiply out the brackets, just leave it as it is, and then when we're back to single thing and single thing, don't bother putting the brackets. If you have done, that's absolutely fine. So this one, I've multiplied that, 6 and 3 is 18, the brackets cancel out, and the numbers do as well. I can divide them both by 2, so you just end up with 1/9. With E, we were dividing, so the first thing I did was notice I could factorise this, 2 lots of x plus 3. So when you divide fractions, you write down the first fraction unchanged. I just did the factorising. Then you change the divide to a multiply, and you flip the second fraction, so I flipped them over. Some of you will have cross-cancelled at this point. I didn't. I wrote it all multiplied out, and now I can cross-cancel. So I've got 2 lots of x minus 1, so I do need the brackets there because it's got a 2 over x plus 7, and it doesn't matter whether you put brackets there or not. And then with F, you don't need to do this, but I just wanted to remind myself what x plus 4 squared meant. I replaced the divide with a multiply and flipped that fraction over. So I've got x times x plus 4 times x plus 4 over x minus 2 times x plus 4. I can cancel out one of the x plus 4s. We don't tend to multiply that out. You can do if you want, but it's not important. Okay, hope that was all right. Okay, so final step for multiplying and dividing. Let me remind you of my 3 steps, which some of you will change by flipping the cancel and multiply stage. But factorize is the first thing we should try and do first. And in these questions, there's always some factorizing that can be done. So this is good, isn't it? I'm being quite clever here, because factorizing, putting something complicated into brackets, is one of those skills people find hard. And so it's a good time to practice it. So here, this fraction here, I hope you recognize it as one of these special case factorizations, x plus 4, x minus 4. And then this is a normal quadratic, so I'm trying to come up with 2 brackets, 2 numbers that multiply to make 6 and add to make 5. If you don't believe me, read it out. X plus 3 times x plus 2, you get x squared, you get 3x, you get 2x, and you get 6, which gives you 5 x's, so bingo. The last 2 can't be multiplied, so can't be factorized, sorry. So I'm going to jump straight to the multiply stage and just put those on the end. So I've sort of rolled the factorize and multiply into one there. I've factorized this and multiplied it by this at the same time, and then I'm a cancelling. And it's always nice to see, look, you've got an x plus 3 top and bottom, and you've got an x plus 4 top and bottom. And remember, this is different to those ones, in my apology, here we could only cancel if we've got something that they've all got in common. But once we've factorized it into 2 things being multiplied, you can then cancel it, and that's the same here. We're not adding these things together, these things are being multiplied, so we can treat it as one thing. Divide top and bottom by x plus 3, divide top and bottom by x plus 4, so we're just left with x minus 4 over x plus 2. Brackets are optional. That was A. Let's have a quick look at D. So D is a divide one, so let's start by factorizing. So I need 2 numbers that multiply to make 3, but which add to make minus 4. That's the confusing one, isn't it? Because you think, well, that's got to be 2 positive numbers, but the other way you can get 3 is with 2, biscuit crumbs, negative numbers. And this bottom one, that's x plus 4 and x plus 5. Now I know I'm doing that quite quickly, and a lot of you find that bit quite tricky, but remember, just try gridding it out. Right, so I'm now going to multiply, and I'm going to change the divide into a multiply, and I'm going to write this fraction upside down. So x squared plus 7x plus 12. How can I factorise that? That's quite an easy one, actually, because 3 times 4 is 12, and 3 plus 4 add up to make 7. So remember, I'm flipping this fraction, so that is now on the top. And the one on the bottom, it's a bit harder to spot, but it's that. So now I'm going to do my multiply stage, which basically means I'm going to take that out. So it just becomes that times that times that times that over that times that times that times that. And now I'm going to do my cancelling stage. So it's all one thing on top, one thing on bottom, so I can say, right, cancel that out, cancel that out. That's all. So I've got x minus 1, x plus 3, over x plus 5, x plus 2. Brilliant. And I don't bother multiplying that out, just leave it like that. Factorized is always a better way of leaving things in algebraic fractions. So all I'm going to ask you to do, and I'm going to ask you to submit this, and just for once we'll use class charts just so, because I know a number of you are struggling with OneNote. I'd just like you to have a go at this one here. Just note, that's a double bracket factorization, that's a double bracket factorization, but that's a single bracket factorization. And have a go at that one, which is divide, and all 4 of them are double brackets. That's a special case, a bit like this one here. So just have a go at B and F, snap a photo, attach it to class charts, and Bob will be your uncle. And remember, I'm going to do one more video tomorrow, and then you're going to get something puzzly to do on the Friday, if you so choose. I hope you are taking care. I will speak to you again tomorrow. Don't forget, just those two, have a go at answering them, snap a photo, upload it to class charts, so not OneNote, but class charts. I've enabled submissions, so hopefully that's nice and easy for you. Take care.